Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi shir.
Shalom and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Brachos Daf Tes. We're 2 lines from the top. Omar Rab Acha Rab Chanina, Omar Rab Shimon Levi. Halacha. The halacha follows the shita of Rab Shimon, She'amar Shimon Rab Kiva. We follow the shita, the opinion of Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, who taught us a very interesting concept regarding the timing of the recital of Krishma Shel Arvis and Krishma Shel Shachris. Before Aleis HaShachar, up until the light of dawn arrives, that is considered to be Laila, full-fledged night, regarding all the halachas in the Torah. Conversely, after Hanetz HaChama, after the sun begins to rise, that is considered to be Yom, day, regarding all the halachas in the Torah. The question remains, what about the interim period? This time between Aleis HaShachar, between when we notice the light of dawn, and Hanetz HaChama, when the sun rays begin to be revealed. What is the status of this interim period, this twilight zone? Reb Shimon Bar Yochai teaches us that regarding our obligation to recite Krishma at night and by day, the definition of Laila and Yom here does not follow the general guideline of Laila and Yom regarding other mitzvahs in the Torah. The Zman of Krishma is not dependent upon Laila and Yom, or the daylight of day or the darkness of night, but rather it's dependent upon the v'shachvacha, when you lie down, v'kumecha, and the time when you arise. We need to read Krishma once when we go to sleep and once when we wake up. And therefore, says Reb Shimon, during this period between Aleis HaShachar and Hanetz HaChama, although it may still be very dark outside, and regarding other mitzvahs, we may consider it to be Laila. However, with regard to Krishma, one may recite Krishma Shel Shachris already right then and there, after Aleis HaShachar, although it's still dark, since there are some people already getting up at that time, and it has the status of V'kumecha, is considered the time of arising. Similarly, regarding Krishma Shel Arvis, one may recite Krishma Shel Arvis in this period between Aleis HaShachar and Hanetz HaChama, although it's beginning to get light outside. Nevertheless, we consider it to be uveshachvacha. It's still a time when people are asleep, and therefore it is still the Zman of Krishma Shel Arvis. Continues the Gemara, Omar Rav Zera, ubilvad. However, he must take care, when one recites Krishma so late, it's already almost morning, that is not the time to recite the blessing of Hashkivenu when we ask Hashem to provide us with a peaceful sleep. That is meant to be said when during the main Zman Shchiva, but not at the end of the night. Ki'asar of Yitzchak bar Yosef, when Yosef came, he said as follows: Omar, Hadar Rab Acha Rab Chanina, Omar Rab Shimon Levi. This quote that we just had in the name of Rab Shimon Levi, that the halacha follows the opinion of Rab Shimon that one may recite Krishma when it is already past Aleis HaShachar, it is still the Zman Shchiva with regard to Krishma Shel Arvis. La b'ferish itmar. Rab Shimon Levi didn't explicitly say that the halacha is like the shita of Rab Shimon. Ela machlal itmar. It was implied from an incident. Now, there was a story about a pair of chachamim, the ishtakur, they became intoxicated Bilula Devrei Rab Shimon Levi at the wedding of the son of Rab Shimon Levi, and they haven't yet recited Krishma Shel Arvis. It was very, very late. It was already past Aleis HaShachar. Also, Kamed Rab Shimon Levi, they came to ask a shaila, question to the father of the chassan. What should we do? Is it still okay for us to say Krishma? Amar, so he responded to them, certainly go ahead and say Krishma. Kedaihu Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon Bar Yochai is worthy lismechala, for us to depend on him and his opinion b'shas chak at a pressing time. Since it is a pressing moment, you have already passed chatzos, it's already past alois, and you haven't yet recited Krishma, certainly you should go ahead and recite Krishma. So in conclusion, during the time of alois, between Aleis HaShachar and Hanetz HaChama, one may recite in a shas chak, in a pressing time. He's faced with a circumstance, unavoidably, he hadn't yet said Krishma, therefore he's allowed to say Krishma Shel Arvis at that point in time. And similarly, if one faces a situation where he perhaps won't be able to, he won't have an opportunity to say Krishma Shal Shacharis later on, he may recite Krishma Shal Shacharis at that point in time between Alei HaShachar and Netzachama, and so is Paskin in the Shulchan Aruch. And once again, strictly only B'Shas HaDchak, when a time where he arrived at this situation unavoidably, unintentionally. Now, what about if a person has both situations coming together? He needs to say Krishma Shal Arvis and Krishma Shal Shacharis at the same time, between the Alois and the Nates. Is that permissible, or is it a self-contradiction? It can't be night and day at the same time. So it's interesting that Mishnah Berurah quotes a machlekes, a dispute amongst the Achronim, regarding the conduct in such a circumstance. Continues the Gemara, Ma'aser shebo banav, the children of Rav Gamliel arrived late from a wedding, and they asked him, could we still fulfill our obligation of Krishna Shalamita? Says the Gemara, up until that day, lo yishmelu hadar Rav Gamliel. They're Rav Gamliel's children. Certainly they knew his opinion. Why were they asking it as if they didn't know? Hachi Karmelei, this is what they meant to say. Rabbanon, we know that there's a shita, there's an opinion of the Rabbanon, that one is meant to say Krishma only up until midnight, until Chatzos. Now we'd like to know, what is the rationale, what is the basis for the shitas Chachamim? The pasuk says over Shachbacha, a person reads Krishma Shalamita when he lies down, at the time of Shchiva. The shita of Rabbi Lezer in the Mishnah was up until Asoif Hashmur Rishayna. The time of Krishma extends up until the end of the 4th hour, which is still the time when generally people are still going to sleep. So Shachbacha is referring to the activity of going to sleep. Rabbi Gamliel, on the other hand, held that the Zman of Krishma Shel Arvis extends up until the end of the night, up until Leis HaShachar, since Uv Shachbacha is referring to the sleeping. When people are still asleep, that is considered to be Shachbacha and considered to be the time of Krishma Shel Arvis. Now, what about the Shittas Chachamim, who have stated a limitation of Chatzos? According to whose interpretation are they following? Are they going according to Rabbi Lezer's interpretation that of Shachbacha means as long as people are still going to sleep, and perhaps the Chacham held that up until midnight is still the Zman when people are going to sleep? Or on the other hand, do they hold like Rav Gamliel in the interpretation of the word of Shachbacha? It's referring to the time when people are asleep, which that extends up until Eis HaShachar. Why then did the Chachamim state a limitation of Chatzos? That's for another reason altogether, simply to ensure that a person doesn't neglect his mitzvah and doesn't lose his opportunity by postponing and procrastinating and missing out altogether. So this is what the sons of Rav Gamliel queried their father. We know we're holding at a point of Pas Chatzos now. We'd like to know whether the Chachamim, when they limited the Zman Krishma up until Chatzos, is it because they held that Pas Chatzos, it is already past the Zman Krishma, it is no more B'Shachvacha, people aren't going to sleep anymore, and therefore it's too late, we missed the opportunity, we cannot recite Krishma anymore? Or on the other hand, perhaps the Chachamim really agree with your interpretation of Shachbacha as referring to the time, the entire time when people are asleep, which is up until Leis HaShachar. But the reason why they limited it up until Chatzos was that L'chatchila, it was a preferred mode of behavior, but since we're already holding at a point of after Chatzos, certainly we should still endeavor to fulfill this obligation and recite Krishma right here and now. So this is again what they asked their father. Rabbanan pligi levach, are the Rabbanan disputing your interpretation of B'Shachvacha? They hold that B'Shachvacha means while people are going to sleep, and that only extends until Chatzos, and therefore your opinion, which is an opinion of a yachid, of an individual, is in opposition to the opinion of the Rabbim, of the majority, and v'yachid v'Rabbim malach Rabbim. When there's a machlekes between a yachid and a Rabbim, we follow the majority, and at this point, past Chatzos, we cannot recite Krishma anymore. Dilma, or perhaps Rabbanan kavasach svirlu, they really hold, they concur with your shita regarding the interpretation of Shachbacha. It's the entire night. If so, why did they state a limitation of Chatzos, of midnight, simply to prevent a person from missing out, from sinning? Amar lahu, so Rav Gamliel responded, yes, Rabbanan kavasich svirlu, the Rabbanan truly concur with my interpretation of Shachbacha, which extends the entire night, and you're required to recite Krishma. If so, why then did the Chacham state Chatzos? to prevent a person from missing out, and therefore they required him to proceed and to be makdim his krishma prior to chatzos. However, in a b'di'evet, in a case where chatzos had already passed, certainly you're required to recite krishma and you will fulfill your mitzvah. So in conclusion, we have three shittas regarding the Seif Zman Krishna Shel Arvis. According to Rabbi Lezer, it is up until the Seif Hashmur Rishona, since Uveshachvacha is referring to the time when people are going to sleep, which extends only up until that moment. According to Rabbi Gamliel, Uveshachvacha is referring to the time when people are asleep, which is the entire night. According to the Chachamim, the meaning of Uveshachvacha is the same as Rabbi Gamliel. However, they instructed us to take care and not to postpone past Chatzos. Continues the Gemara. Rabbi Gamliel told his children, we find elsewhere as well where the Chachamim impose the limitation of Chatzos. V'lo yizu levad Amar Elo, says the Gemara of Rabbi Gamliel, Mika Amad Chatzos. Rabbi Gamliel himself, why is he referring to limitations of Chatzos? Does he then agree with this limitation? The Tana V'lo yizu levad Amru, why is he discussing the concept of Chatzos when he himself doesn't even agree with it? This is what Rabbi Gamliel was referring to when he discussed the limitation of Chatzos. Even according to the Shittas Chachamim, the Ka'amrat Chatzos, who have stated Chatzos, truly mitzvah sa'ashiyah lamud hashachar. In reality, the mitzvah extends up until daybreak. Why then did they state Chatzos? In order to distance the person from Avera. So this is what he was trying to tell them, that in reality, Chacham agree that technically the Zman Krishma extends up until the morning, but they impose a limitation on Chatzos, just as we find this type of limitation elsewhere. Continues the Gemara. Hektar Chalavim. The Mishnah lists a couple of other things where the mitzvah extends up until Leis HaShachar, burning of the fats of the korban, etc. But the Mishnah does not mention Achilas Psachim, that one may eat the korban Pesach up until daybreak. V'ila Achilas Psachim like Tani. That would imply that the Achilas Pesach is limited min ha-Torah up until Chatzos. One may not eat a Pesach past Chatzos, even min ha-Torah. V'ramini, we seem to find a Brisa which indicates otherwise. It says the Brisa Krishma Arvis, the Krishma of the evening, v'halal b'lei Pesachim, and the recital of Halal during the night of Pesach, v'achilas Pesach, and the consuming of the korban Pesach, mitzvah not yalam shachar. They extend up until Amud HaShachar, so you see that even Pesach, one may eat up until morning. And this is in contradiction to our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, there are two shittas. Omer Rav Yosef lo kasha, that is not a kasha, Har Rav Lezer and Azariah. The Brisa, which says, with the Mishnah, which seems to indicate that Achilas Pesach is only up until Chatzos min ha-Torah, that is following the opinion of Rav Lezer and Azariah. However, the Brisa, which says that one may eat the korban Pesach up until morning, that is following the opinion of Rabbi Kiva. The Sani we've learned to Brachos in the following brisa. The pasuk says, "Va'achlu es habasar b'layla hazeh." They should eat the korban Pesach during this night, during halayla hazeh. Rabbi Lezer and Azariah Omer, we have Gzeira Shava. We connect the words halayla hazeh, which is stated regarding the achilas korban Pesach, to halayla hazeh, to the word halayla hazeh, which we find elsewhere regarding Chatzos. Again, Nemar Kana Balayla Hazeh, this pasuk uses the words Balayla Hazeh regarding Achilas Pesach, V'nemar Lahalon, and elsewhere we find Vavarti Be'eretz Mitzrayim Balayla Hazeh. Hashem is saying, I will pass through Mitzrayim Balayla Hazeh. This is referring to the last Makas B'cheres, which took place at exactly midnight, exactly Chatzos. Therefore, we connect the two terms. Ma'alahalon, just like Vir, Halayla Hazeh is referring to at Chatzos. Afkan, so too by a korban Pesach, Halayla Hazeh is referring to at Chatzos, and that is the Soif Zman Achilas korban Pesach. Amalei Akiva, how can you say that? V'alekvar Nemar, B'chipazayin. The Torah, when describing the time of the Achilas korban Pesach, the Torah uses the term B'chipazayin in haste. Achat Chipazayin. We may eat it until the time of haste, which is referring to the time when the Yidden hastily left Mitzrayim, which took place in the morning. So how can you limit the Achila up until Chatzos, when the pasuk seems to imply that the time of the Achilas korban Pesach extends up until morning? So that is the opinion of Rabbi Kiva, that the Achilas Pesach extends up until Leis HaShachar, and therefore we have a conclusion regarding the contradiction between the Mishnah, which seems to indicate that Achilas Pesach is strictly up until midnight, and the Brisa, which states Achilas Pesach to be up until Midat Shachar? The answer is the Mishnah is referring to the Shittas of Rabbi Eliezer and Azariah, and the Brisa is following Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara, Im Kain, Matamad Loima Balayla. Why then does the pasuk, if we're not using the words Balayla Hazeh to indicate that the Achilas Pesach is limited to Chatzos, if we're not using the Gzeir Shava of Eliezer and Azariah, this is Rabbi Akiva speaking. Why then does the pasuk use the word Balayla? The pasuk is informing us something else. The pasuk is teaching us the following halacha. Yochel, I would think, that one may eat the Karban Pesach b'yayim. Immediately after Shechita on Erev Pesach, one may already begin eating the Karban Pesach, just as we find regarding other Karbanas, Karban Taida, etc., that as soon as we slaughter the Karban, we sheicha the Karban, the Zman Achila begins right then and there. You don't need to wait until the Laila. So I would think the Karban Pesach follows the same formula. We begin eating by day and it extends throughout the night. Therefore the pasuk needs to stress that v'achlu es basar balayla, only during the nighttime. The zman achila only begins after nightfall. Balaylahu nechal v'loi b'yayim. Continues the Gemara. It all works well according to Rabbi Eliezer and Azariah, who taught us Gzeir Shava. He derived the term from the term Balayla Hazeh, which is mentioned by Makas B'Cheres. He connected it to Balayla Hazeh, which is mentioned by Pesach, to teach us the limitation of Chatzos. So we understand why the pasuk used the term Hazeh for the sake of the Gzeir Shava. Bishleim Rabbi Eliezer and Azariah, this Gzeir Shava Isrich l'michtav lahazeh. We need the pasuk Hazeh for the purpose of Gzeir Shava. El Rabbi Akiva, according to Rabbi Akiva, what's the purpose of the word Hazeh? Hay Hazeh mayavadle. What does he do? What does he derive from the word Hazeh? Says the Gemara is coming to teach us the following halach. Lemu'ute, it's coming to exclude Laila Acharu Da'asa. Now we know that a kachim kalim, a Karban shlomim, for instance, is eaten lishnei yamim v'layla echad. It is eaten for 2 days and 1 night. The day of the Hakravas Karban, the following night, and then the following day. I would think that perhaps a Karban Pesach, as well, is granted a lengthy time for Achila, not strictly limited to the 1 night. Although we need to eat it Balayla, as we mentioned earlier, the Achilas Pesach is strictly limited to Balayla. However, perhaps we can add another night to the Zman Achilas of a Pesach. Perhaps we can eat it during the first night, and then the Zman Achilah will extend up until the end of the next night. Perhaps I would ponder or think to say, Pesach Kachim Kalam. Pesach has the status of a Kachim Kalam, of a light Kodesh, of some Shlomim Kachim Kalam. Shlom as well is considered to be a Kachim Kalam. So we'll connect the two things. Ma Shlomim Necholel Nishnei Yom Laila Echad, just as the Zman Achila of a Shlom extends for 2 nights and a day, of Pesach, so too regarding the Zman Achila Pesach, Nechal Shtei Leilos B'Makom Shnei Yomim. It will be eaten for an additional night to make up for the lost day. Meaning, since a Shlom is eaten for 2 nights and a day, so Pesach will have 2 days, 2 nights and a day. So the second night will be instead of the second day of the Shlomim. Again, just as a Shlom is eaten for 2 days and a night, so too a Pesach of Pesach Nechal Shtei Leilos B'Makom Shnei Yom. V'yei Nechal Beis Leilos V'yei Echad. And the Zman Achila of Karban Pesach will stretch over past the second night. Kamash Malon, therefore the Torah informs us, Balayla Hazeh. That's why we need the word Hazeh, which explicitly is referring to this night. Balayla Hazeh Nechal V'yei Nechal Balayla Achar. One may not eat the Karban Pesach on any other night. So that is the source for this halacha, according to Rabbi Akiva. Now Rabbi Eliezer, if we remember, already used the word Hazeh for the Gzeir Shava. So where will he know this chiddush from? Rabbi Eliezer and Azariah, we learned it from the pasuk, which warns us not to leave over the Karban Pesach up until morning. It's pretty obvious that you can't eat the Karban Pesach past the first morning. So we know from that pasuk that the Karban Pesach may only be eaten for the first night. Rabbi Akiva says that pasuk is not an adequate proof. If only for that pasuk, which says don't leave over the Karban Pesach at Boker, Havamina, I would think my Boker Sheni. When it says morning, it's referring to the second morning following the second night. And therefore we need the pasuk hazeh to limit it to the first night. For Rabbi Lezer Amalach, Rabbi Lezer on the other hand says, no, call Baiker Rishonu. When the Torah says Stam Baiker, without elaborating, it's referring to the first morning immediately following the first night. And therefore when the Torah tells us not to leave it past the first morning, we already know that the Zman Achila is limited to merely the first Laila. So in conclusion, we have Machlekes Tanoim. What is the Zman Achilas Korban Pesach, whether only up until Chatzos, or whether it extends up until Leis HaShachar? It is based on various psukim and derivations. Continues the Gemara, V'hani Tanoi Kani Tanoi. This Machlekes Tanoim is actually following a similar Machlekes Tanoim, where the Tanoim dispute the Zman Achilas Pesach, whether it's only till Chatzos or extends up till Leis HaShachar. The Sani of Linton Bryce. Sham Tisbach as a Pesach be'erev. You should be Zavech Sheshech the Pesach be'erev in the afternoon, Kivay HaShemesh, when the sun comes down, Moyetzeischa Mitzrayim, at the point in time when you were redeemed, when you left Egypt. So we have a list of 3 different times. The first one is Erev Pesach in the afternoon, the second one is nightfall, the third one is referring to the end of the night when dawn arrives. So how do we explain this pasuk? Says the Gemara, Blezo Eimer, the 3 descriptions are referring to 3 different activities. Be'erev atizavech, when the pasuk says be'erev in the afternoon, that is the zman shchitas pesach. Ukavoya shemesh, when the Torah speaks about sundown, that is referring to the zman achila ata oichel. That's when you eat the korban pesach. It's already night. Umoyetzeischa mitzrayim, when the morning arrives, that was the point in time when Yidden left Mitzrayim. That is the time which is appropriate for Shreifa at the Seiref. You burn the leftovers of the Korban Pesach. Rabbi Shua Eimer, Be'erev, when the pasuk says Be'erev the afternoon, Ata Zevech Yishecht, Kivay HaShemesh, when the nighttime comes, Ata Oichel, you eat. V'ad Masa Ata Oichel V'Hoilech. Until when may one eat the Korban Pesach? Ad Moyed Tzeischem Mitzrayim, up until the morning, which was the time when Yisrael left Mitzrayim. So as Rashi explains, there seems to be no machlekes. They're both saying the identical thing. Evidently, there's some sort of machlekes. There must be a discrepancy between these 2 shittas. And if Rabbi Shua seems to say that the Zman Achila extends up until morning, he states so very clearly. So apparently the machlekes is based on that halacha, where Rabbi Lezer holds that the Zman Achila is merely up until midnight, until Chatzos. So you see a machlekes here, which is a mirror machlekes of the previous machlekes. Continues the Gemara. What is the rationale? What is the svara? What is the basis of the dispute whether Achilas Pesach extends only up until Chatzos or continues up until Avodah Shachar? Hakol Moedim, everyone agrees. Or Lezer Razariah, Rebbe Kiva, they all agree. Ksheniglu Shom Mitzrayim, when Klal Yisrael was redeemed from Mitzrayim, the process began Liniglu El Be'erev. It began already at night by Makas Bechuris, when the Mitzrayim came and implored on the Yidden to leave Mitzrayim. They released their grip on them. Shenemar Hitziach Hashem L'Kechem Mitzrayim L'Layla. This pasuk says that Yitzias Mitzrayim began at night. However, Kshiyotzu, when did they actually leave Mitzrayim? L'Yotzu B'Yom. Certainly that only happened by day. Shenemar Machas HaPesach. The next morning, Yotzu Ne'Yisrael B'Yadroma. They left with a raised hand. So the Geula began at night. The Yitzia took place in the morning. So, what is the basis for the machlekes between the Tanoim? Al Sha'as Chipazin. Since the Torah uses the term Chipazin in describing the time of the Achilas Korban Pesach, if we recall, that was the source of Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva says we may eat the Korban Pesach till the morning. Ad Sha'as Chipazin. That is the time of haste when the Yidden actually left Mitzrayim. They left in a rush, left in a hurry. So the machlekes is based on the interpretation of the pasuk of the word b'chipazin. Reb Lezer and Zari Savar, my chipazin the Mitzrayim. Chipazin over here is referring to the haste of Mitzrayim, where they rushed the Yidden, get out of our country, leave. So when the Torah is referring to chipazin with regard to the zman achilas korban pesach, it is the chipazin of the Mitzrayim, and therefore that took place at Chatzos. And that is the end, the Soif Zman Achilas Korban Pesach. Rav Akiva Sava, on the other hand, Rav Akiva holds, what is the meaning of Chipazin? Is referring to my Chipazin Yisrael. When the Yidden, when Klal Yisrael left in a hurry, and that took place in the morning. And therefore, the Zman Achilas Korban Pesach, which is dependent upon Birchi Pazan. The hasty time is referring to the morning, which was a time of haste of Yisrael. And hence, the basis for the machlekes of Reb Lezer and Zaya and Reb Kiva. Tanya mihachi, hoitziach Hashem lekechem Mitzrayim v'loila. Hashem took you out of Mitzrayim at night. Says the Gemara, v'chabalayla yotzu, v'alo yotzu v'layayim. We know they left in the morning. Shene'amar mibrachas ha-pesach yotzu b'nei Yisrael b'yad Ella, rather the pasuk which says that Hashem took you out of Mitzrayim at night, Malamed, teaching us she is chilo lahem gulum be'erev, that the redemption began at night. It began by Makas B'cheres. Continues the Gemara. Daber na b'ozni Hashem. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, please, Daber na, please speak to the nation, tell them to borrow the vessels from the Mitzrim. Says the Gemara, Amr v'Rabyana in na eloshem hakasha. The term na denotes a request. Please, Amr HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe, v'bakasha, I ask you, please do me a favor. Leich ve'emer lehem Yisrael, v'bakasha mekem. Please, go tell the Yidden, please go ahead and shalom in Mitzrayim, klei kesef, klei zav. Go borrow from the Mitzrayim, request from them their vessels of silver and of gold. Why was it so important that Hashem needed to request this request? So that Avraham Avinu will not complain, will not say that I didn't keep my word. Since during the Bris Ben Absarim, I foretold Avraham Avinu what will happen in the future. That Va'avadim Vinu Oisam, that the nations will enslave them, will torment them. And at the end of that pasuk, I said they will actually leave Mitzrayim with a great treasure. So Avraham Avinu shouldn't complain and say, well, I kept the first part of the pasuk, the first half of the deal. Va'avadim Vinu Oisam Kiyim Behem. That certainly was realized. But however, the second half of the deal, that Klal Yisrael will leave Mitzrayim with a great fortune, Hashem did not fulfill. So therefore, Hashem asked Moshe Rabbeinu, please help me fulfill my promise. Borrow these vessels and acquire Mitzrayim's wealth. So when Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden, go do this thing, Amrulai, so the Yidden responded, V'alavai shenetze v'atzmeinu. Please, if only we can leave on our own, don't hold us up. We don't have to get involved in these things. Let's just leave Mitzrayim. It's a mashal. It's an analogous to mashal la'adam sheyachav yisasurim. A person was captive in jail. And people told him, just wait another day. Tomorrow, we're going to take you out of jail in Beis Asurim. You'll get a lot of money. Just wait another day in jail. What does the person respond? The captive says, can please do me a favor. It's Yuni Hayom. Take me out today. I can't last any longer. I will forego all the treasures and all the money. Just take me out of here today. So the Yidden as well needed to be convinced, because they responded to Moshe, no, we don't want to get involved in this. Just take us out of here. Continues the Gemara, Vayashilum, and they forced them to lend them their treasures. Amar Rav Ami Malamed, this teaches us Shishilum Bal Korcham. It was done by coercion. Why? Says the Gemara, two interpretations. Ika da Amri Bal Korcham the Mitzrim. It was against the will of the Mitzrim, and as the Mashal explains, the Mitzrim tried to avoid. They said, no, well, we don't have these things that you're asking from us. And the Yidden would specifically state to them, well, I know that you own this object and that object. They would actually locate the location for them. They would say, well, it's sitting in that drawer, and in that location, as the Medrash says, Hashem endowed them Ruach HaKodesh. Rashi and Chumash also says that during the Makas Choshech, the Yidden visited the house of the Mitzrim, and they noticed everything that was going on there, and therefore they knew the contents, what was to be found in the home of a Mitzri. So that's the first shot, that they coerced them, they forced them to lend them these treasures. Because Amri, some explain, Vayashilu means Baal Korcham the Yisrael, it was against the will of Klal Yisrael, it was reluctantly. They will get their booty, so this is referring to obtaining their wealth against their will. That it was done reluctantly on the side of the Yisrael. They were reluctant, they were resistant to add to their load and to perhaps slow down their exit from Mitzrayim. Continues the Gemara, Vayinatzus Mitzrayim, they emptied out Mitzrayim. Amar Rav Ami Malamed, this teaches us Shasua, Kemetsuda, they turned Mitzrayim into an empty net. A bird trapper's net would have grains placed underneath it to attract the birds. They completely emptied out the whole net, Kemetsuda She'ein Badagan, like a net that has no grain anymore. Similarly here, they emptied out the contents of Mitzrayim, they took out all their wealth. Rish Lakish Amar, what is the meaning of Vayanatzlu Asu Kemetzula? They turned into the depth of the sea, She'ein Badagim, where fish aren't found, since fish are generally found higher up near the surface where they find sustenance. So the Mitzrayim were emptied out and were compared to the depths of the sea. They were totally cleaned down, emptied out. They were turned into a shell of their former glory, totally emptied of all their valuables. And as the Ben Yada explains, that the first mashal of the Mitzuda Shem Badagan is referring to material things. They were emptied of their material wealth. And the second shot of Mitzuda Shem Badagim is a remiss to spiritual wealth, that the Yidden extracted any remnant of spirituality from Mitzrayim. They left it totally free and bereft of any spirituality. Continues the Gemara, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, go tell the Yidden, I am with them, I will always be with them in all their hardships. I was with you, I took care of you in this enslavement, during this shibud, and similarly, I too will be with you, I will accompany you, b'shibud malchus, in the future Goliath. So Moshe Rabbeinu responds to Hashem, Ribono shel olam, dai l'tzar b'shata. Why don't we leave the tzara for when it comes? Why do I need to worry Klal Yisrael and mention to them regarding future trouble that they will have? So Hashem responded, certainly, that's what I had in mind. I didn't mean that you should indicate to them regarding future troubles. I was merely telling it to you. But certainly regarding Klal Yisrael, you should tell them, Lech emer lehem Ehyeh. Only speak on a singular term, Ehyeh shlachani aleichem, Hashem, who is with you in the present, has sent me to you. Continues the Gemara on the same note. We find another pasuk which uses a double expression, Aneni Hashem Aneni, where Eliyahu Navi asks Hashem, please Hashem, answer me and send down the heavenly fire to consume the carbon, which will prove that you are the master of the world. This was done to challenge the Nevi Habal. Amar Avod Lama Amar Eliyahu Aneni Beis Pamim. Why did he use the double expression Aneni Melamed? This is teaching us Amar Eliyahu Fnei Baruch Hu Ribono shel olam Aneni, answer me Sheter Eish Hashamayim, that a heavenly fire should descend from above, V'toichal Kol Asher Al Mizbeach, consume everything that's placed on the Mizbeach. And the second Aneni is Shetasiach Daitam, distract their minds of the mockers and the critics. They shouldn't question it and say, it's merely trickery, it's merely witchcraft. We find in this pasuk that Hashem has the ability to turn away one's heart and distract his attention so that they don't concoct these type of complaints and these type of arguments against Eliyahu Hanavi. In conclusion, Eliyahu Hanavi used a double expression of Aneni. The first one was a request from Hashem to bring down the Eish Shel Gavaya, the heavenly fire. The second Aneni was requesting Hashem to prevent the Nevi Habal from questioning and proposing that it was merely witchcraft. Continues the Mishnah. What is the earliest point in time that one may recite Krishma Shel Shachris in the morning? Says the Tanakama, it is light enough that one can distinguish between white and blue. Rav Lezer, it needs to get a bit lighter than that. It is dependent upon one's ability to distinguish between the colors blue and karsi, which is a greenish color. That requires more light than the shita of the Tanakama, because these colors are more similar to each other. Until when does the Zman Krishma extend? Until the sun begins to rise. Rabbi Shoim up until the end of the third hour. It is the custom of kings to arise up until the end of the third hour, and therefore that is still considered to be uvkumecha, the time when people arise and is considered to be the Zman Krishma Shal Shachris. HaKorim Mekan Ve'elach concludes the mission: if somebody misses the appropriate Zman Krishma, Lo Yifsid, he did not lose out completely on receiving reward, although he doesn't get the schar, the reward, according to reciting Krishma in its prescribed time. However, he still gets some reward. Ka'adam HaKorim B'Torah. It's as though he's reading a portion of the Torah, since Krishma is a portion of Torah. Continues the Gemara. Mai ben tchelos lavan. What is the Tanakama referring to when the Tanakama says it is light enough to distinguish between blue and white? Ilema. Is he speaking about ben gavava de amra chivra, between a ball of wool which is white, legavava de amra de tchelta, a ball of wool which is blue? Says the Gemara, the difference is so stark, these colors are so extreme, and even when it's still dark, one can differentiate. That's not an indication of morning of light. Ella, rather, Tanakam is referring to distinguishing between we're speaking about one single ball of wool which was dyed blue, and it came out imperfect. There are white blotches there. So when one could distinguish between the portions of blue with the portions of white within the same ball, that indeed requires a bit more light. The difference there is not so stark, and therefore that is already considered to be light of day. Tanya one distinguishes between a fox and a dog who look similar. You need to distinguish between a donkey and a wild donkey. When he can recognize his friend, Taisa says it's referring to an acquaintance, not a close friend who perhaps one could recognize even in the darkness of night, but speaking about an acquaintance, he can recognize his features. When he is but 4 amas away from him, he recognizes him. He sees his friend and he recognizes him. That is indicative of daylight. The halacha follows this shita of acherim of Mishayakar. Regarding the zman of donning tefillin, we follow the shita of acherim. It begins at the point of Mishayakar's chaveru. However, the krishma, regarding the zman krishma, kivasikin, one should follow the custom of the devout, of the vasikim. What an interesting conduct. They would delay the recital of Krishma until very close to the Netzach Chama. Why is that? Continues the Gemara. We went in the Brachos. They would complete Krishma immediately prior to Netzach Chama. Why? Since the Zman Tefillah begins, preferably by Netzach Chama, they wanted to join, to say Krishma in very close proximity to Tefillah, to join Geula, the bracha of redemption which follows Krishma. They wanted to connect that with Tefillah, which is a very preferred mode of behavior. If we learned earlier in the Masechta, there is a big Indian to be masmech to join Geula Tefillah, and therefore they delayed their Krishma up until Netzach Chama, so that they could complete the Krishma with the brachos and move on right away to Tefillah v'nim to Mispal b'Yayim and conduct the Tefillah right in the beginning of the day. Amar B'Zeir Ma'ikra, where do we find a source to this type of conduct that one davens immediately in the beginning of the morning? Yuru'uchaim Shemesh, those who fear you with the sun, together with the moon for generations, and this is referring to the concept of davening right at the beginning of the Zman Tefillah, right in the beginning of the morning, with the rising of the Shemesh of the sun. And similarly explains the Maharsha regarding Tefillas Arvis. One is meant to precede his Tefillas Arvis right in the beginning of the night, the beginning of the Yoreach's presence, and this is why the Vesikin were so particular in doing so. So in summary, we have a list of 6 opinions regarding the earliest time of Zman Krishma, Shel Shachris, according to Tanakama. It's when a person differentiates between Tchelis Elavim, between blue and white. According to Rabbi Lezer, it's between blue and green. According to Rabbi Meir, between a fox and a dog. According to Rabbi Kiva, between a donkey and a wild donkey. According to Acherim, when one recognizes his friend. According to the Vasikin, one should preferably delay his Krishma up until close to Netzachama. Continues the Gemara. Heyid Rabbi Yosef ben Yakim. Rabbi Yosef ben Yakim testified in the name of Mishum Kahal Kadesh Yerushalayim, in the name of the holy community of Yerushalayim, as follows: Kol hasoymech gula tefillah, one who joins Gula, the blessing of redemption, which follows Krishma, he joins it. He says it in close proximity to tefillah, to Shemona Esrei, and in Nizek Kol Hayom Kuloi, he will not have harm. No harm will affect him, will befall him the entire day. Amar Rav Zera, Eini, is that so? V'ha'ano samchi, I followed this behavior. I was saimech. I joined Gula tefillah. However, v'itziki, and harm befell me. Amrulei, so they responded to him, B'may yitzakas, what was your hezek, what was your misfortune? Dem tayis asil b'malka, you were required to bring a tax, a myrtle, hadasim to the king, and you incurred an expense on that account. So that's your misfortune? The Chacham told him, no, that's not really a misfortune at all. Hasam nami, there too, a person is required to actually spend money, to have the privilege to see the king. Why is that so important? A person should endeavor to run after the Kres Malchi Yisrael, to see the glory accompanying a Jewish king. Not only a Jewish king, and even a Goyish king. He should go experience the pomp and the glory which accompanies the king. Why is that? Shem Yiske, because if he'll merit, he'll see the Asad Lavai. When Mashiach comes, when we'll be Zeichat El Haba, he will see the tremendous glory that we'll experience then, and he'll contrast it with a much lower level of glory that he experienced in this world. Yavchin, he'll be able to differentiate and appreciate. Bein Malchi Yisrael, Malchi Akim, will have a benchmark, will have a standard with what to measure the tremendous glory of the Asad Lavai. So this wasn't a misfortune at all. You needed to pay to see the king. That was actually to your benefit. Amalei Rav Lo Leula, Ki Eilas Lahasam. When you go there, Shal b'Shloima de Rav Bruna, go ask, go inquire as to the welfare of Rav Bruna, my brother, b'Mamet Kol Chabura, in the presence of the whole group. Accord him honor. Do it in public. Dadam Gadolhu, he's a great person, v'Sameach b'Mitzvahs, and is happy to do mitzvahs. Zem Chada, one time, Samach Gula Tefillah, he joined Gula Tefillah, b'lei Pasik Chucham b'Pumei Kol Yaimei, and a smile stayed on his lips the entire day. The Taisa says that this Gemara and the previous Gemara is speaking about joining Gula Tefillah in the fashion of the Vasikin, reciting Krishma immediately prior to Nitzachama, and immediately followed by Tefillah. That contains the skula of protecting a person from harm and bringing him to Simcha. Continues the Gemara, Heichi Matzi Samach. How is it at all possible to join Gula Tefillah? There's something coming in between. In the beginning of Shemona Esrei, he says, Hashem Sasa Yiftach. He inserts a pasuk asking Hashem to help him daven. After, when he's done Shemona Esrei, he says, the words of my mouth should find favor in your eyes. So there's something coming in between the bracha of Geula and Shemona Esrei. That is the pasuk of Hashem Sasa Yiftach. Siftach. Says the Gemara, Amar Belezer, we must say that this halacha of Rabbi Yochanan, to recite the pasuk of Hashem Sasa Yiftach, that was merely to have it Tefillah Shel Arab, that was strictly at night by Tefillas Ma'ariv, when one is not required to join to be Masach Gula Tefillah. Says the Gemara, is that so? We know that Rabbi Yochanan himself held that there is an obligation to be Masach Gula Tefillah even by Ma'ariv. V'Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ezu ben Olam Haba, who is a dweller of Olam Haba, Ze HaSoymech Gula Tefillah Shel Arvis, Tefillah Shel Arvis, one who joins Gula to Tefillah even by Ma'ariv. So we cannot answer what we just tried to answer, that Hashem Sasa Yiftach was by Ma'ariv, where one is not required to join Gula Tefillah. Ella, you must say another teretz, Amar Beleza Teil B'Tefillah Mincha, that Hashem Sasa Yiftach is recited merely by Mincha, where of course there is no concept of Gula Tefillah, there is no bracha preceding Shemona Esrei. Continues the Gemara, Avashi Amar, Afilo Teimaku, even if we'll say that a person indeed does recite the pasuk of Hashem Sfasai Tiftach prior to all three Shemona Esreis, Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv. If so, what happened to be Masach? What happened to the concept of a Masach Gula Tefillah? Says the Gemara, V'kiven the Rabbanan B'Tefillah, since the Chacham instituted, established that one should say it prior to Shemona Esrei, Ketefillah Richtadamya, it is considered to be an extension of Shemoneh Esrei and does not constitute an interruption and hefsek. If you not follow this line of thought, how can you say that by Ma'ariv a person joins the Gula Tefillah? We know that there's a bracha of Hashkivenu, which doesn't discuss Gula, and that comes in between the bracha of Gula, which is Emes Amunah, which describes the redemption. It comes between that bracha and Shemoneh Esrei. So there we go, there's a hefsek, there's an interruption by Ma'ariv. Ella, you must say, Kivan that Kin Rabban Hashkivenu, since the Chacham established and instituted that one should say the bracha of Hashkivenu, Kigula Richtadama is merely extension of the bracha of Geula and does not constitute a hefsek. Hachanami, so too in our case regarding Hashem Sfas HaYiftach, Kivan the Kavur Rabban B'Tefillah, since the Chacham established and acted that a person should recite this pasuk prior to Tefillah, Ketefillah Richtadamya, it is merely an extension of Tefillah and is not considered an interruption. And even one who recites Hashem Sfas HaYiftach by any Tefillah, he is still fulfilling the obligation of Masmich Geula L'Tefillah. Says the Gemara, Michti, let's take a look at this pasuk. Hayu l'rotzin refi, the pasuk requesting Hashem that my words should find favor in your eyes. This can be said prior to Tefillah, referring to the future. What I will daven should find favor in your eyes. Mashma l'basayif, mashma b'ikara. It can be said at the end. Hashem, what I already said should find favor in your eyes, and it could be referring to the future. Mashma b'ikara, what I will say. Debe'ina l'meimar. If so, my time taknu rabbanan la'achar ches brachos. Why did the Chachamim wait and institute it only at the end of Shemoneh Esrei? Why not in the beginning and let it refer to the future words that he'll be saying? Le'im b'ikara. Amar v'huda b'eidav Shimon Pazi hoyavloi Amar David la'achar ches parshas. Since we find that David HaMelech used this pasuk after 18 portions of Tehillim, lefichach. Similarly here, takin rabbanan la'achar ches brachos, Chacham instituted it to be said after Yud Ches Brachos, which correspond to the 18 kapitlach of Tehillim. Continues the Gemara. Hani Yud Ches, Yud L'Rotzain is after 18 kapitlach, after 18 parashiyos, Yud Tes Havyan. It's at the end of Perek Yud Tes, says the Gemara. We need to combine two of them. Ashrei Ish, V'lam Rok Shugayim, the parsha which begins with Ashrei Ish, and the parsha which begins with Lomar Shugayim Chad the parsha, it's really one parsha and should be connected, and therefore, when we find Yud L'Rotzen, which is at the end of paragraph 19, parsha 19, it's really 18. The Amar B'Yidu B'Yidu B'Shem Pazi, Kuf Gimel Parshas Amar David. We find David HaMelech recited 103 portions of Tehillim. V'loi Amar Halaluka Atcherab Mapol Asin Shal Rishayim. The term Halaluka was only mentioned when David HaMelech witnessed the falling of the Rishayim. Shenamar Yitamach Hatam and Ars. The sinners will be removed from the land of Rishayim at Einam, and the sinners are not here anymore. Baruch Nafesh Hashem Halaluka. So the term Halaluka was in reference to the removal of the Rishayim. So that was the statement coming from Rabbi Yehuda B'Yidu Shimon Pazi, that Halaluka is recited after 103 parshas. Now we take a look at Al Tehillim. Hani Kuf Gimel Kuf Dalat Havyan. It's actually at the end of the 104th. Ella, you must say, Shema Mina. We learn from here that the Ashri Ish, the paragraph beginning with Ashri Ish, paragraph number 1 of Tehillim, and paragraph number 2, V'lomer Rok Shugoyim, indeed Chadja Parshahi, it is one parsha, needs to be combined, and therefore, when we get to Kapitel 104, it's really 103, as quoted by Rabbi Yehuda B'Yidu Shimon Pazi. The Amar of Shmuel Rav Chaim Rav Yonasan, called Parsha Shaysach Aviva al David, every parsha which was extremely dear to David HaMelech, Pasach Baba Ashrei, he began, the opening word was Ashrei, V'siyam Baba Ashrei, and the closing was also with Ashrei. What do we find? That Pasach Ba'ashrei, the Chsiv Ashrei Ish, the first word of Tehillim is Ashrei. V'siyam Ba'ashrei, what do we find that he concluded with Ashrei? The Chsiv Ashrei Kol Chosei Bai. Now this is the pasuk which is mentioned at the end of parsha number 2 in Tehillim. So we find that according to Rishon Rachmeni Rav Yechanan, David HaMelech begins and ends a parsha with the word Ashrei, and this is in reference to the beginning of Tehillim. Evidently, both parshas, number 1 and number 2, were really one parsha, and it begins with Ashrei and ends with Ashrei, as we mentioned earlier, that we need to combine the first 2 kapitlach of Tehillim.